mindset of being disrespected. Like, like I think that fits big, especially in my town. I think that fits big. Like people that never been respected, whole being respected at a really high level.
Brother.
And
Yeah.
so, like, when you mix the fact that you don't like yourself and the person that look like you can't like them, and you want to be respected because you never respected, the smallest thing could send you somewhere where you don't need to be. Then I think it's something else too. The fact that unfortunately a lot of people in the urban environment stay in the urban environment. They
Mm-hmm.
don't go nowhere. They
Mm-hmm.
don't have not saying the group doesn't have aspirations, but what I mean is they never get to a big percentage of us don't get a chance to see other things and read other things and be told other things besides what you see in that urban environment. Like 16 blocks in every direction. Most people in the urban environment don't go no further than that. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like, oh, maybe a vacation, maybe this and that. But just like, I'm going to just speak on you.
Mm-hmm.
I know that you are a soldier, was in the military. You've seen a lot of things. You were in a microcosm of the world, definitely of the United States, because it was a lot of different people from a lot of different places with a lot of different thoughts, a lot of different movements.
Right.
Even though structure and order was part of it, you still had a social aspect of it that you got to see different things when you go to a different world, eat a different food, see whatever it may be. You know, a lot of people don't actually get that. A lot of people don't even want that, and I think that has something to do with the animosity. Now, I can go list by list
Yeah.
of
I know.
why, even down to the structures of how city life is. I mean, I'm talking about the buildings, even down to the buildings of how you live on top of each other, close to each other.
Mm-hmm.
All of that
Mm-hmm.
has something to do with your mentality towards the person that's not too far from you. Because I've read a I've read uh, uh, experiment. They did an experiment by clogging up. I don't know if it was mice or if it was rats, but they clogged them up, had them really piled up on top of each other, and they tended to be more violent than the ones that had space to do what they had to do.
I read that same study. I read the
Mhm.
same thing, brother. Very.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think it's like a diamond, man. It's multifaceted. Like why uh it happens, but a big part I really think is it when you treat it like you're when you treat it like with disrespect or not respect it, you
Right.
tend to respect much else.
Man, I so agree, man, brother. I don't want to interrupt. I don't want to step on what you're saying, brother, but I really have to respond to that because
Cool.
what you just laid out right there was perfectly laid out from a simple understanding too. Because you talked about love, respect, and environment. Those three areas is what you talked about. And man, what hit me the hardest was when you talked about respect, because that a lot of us, and we're talking about our people in particular. We love all people, but we have to talk about our people, and the issues that we deal with and struggle with, and how other people see us, right? Without having this kind of understanding. The love piece, man, about self love is so important. And then wanting respect, like you said, when you don't love yourself, and on top of that, you're in an environment where the people who reflect you the most turn into your enemy. Seem like they because of all the self-loathing and the inability to understand love and not getting any real respect from society. And man, that's a great point you made there. So I wonder how many people really think about that when it
Mm.
comes to before someone would say, "Oh, they're ghetto." One thing that I never tolerate. I don't tolerate other people to talk about our people in a negative connotation. And here's why: unless you have something to offer, in the way of resolution, and unless you can exhibit understanding of what we really go through. See how easy, see how you put that? You didn't have to go write that down. This is why I love to do these shows organically, because you really know what a person's really feeling. I don't have to sit down and write it out and I want to sound this way. No, I want you to be exactly who you are. I'm exactly who I am. You know? But you said something about respect, and man, that thing is so, because that's one of my issues, really. And I think a lot of young brothers, not necessarily young, but a lot of black men in particularly, we become confrontational when we see disrespect. And in the environment that we come from, we're supposed to be confrontational when we see it. Because if we're not in that environment, we're going to constantly be disrespected by the format that you just laid out, because of self-hate, because of lack of respect, and because of the environment that we're in. So are all these brothers that kind of my story. I've been through a lot of violent stuff myself with
Mm-hmm.
and my brother as well. My brother was killed, and a lot of different things took place there. So that was all spun from what you're saying right there. Those series of events were all detailed and highlighted because of the effects of trauma and environment, right? That I saw in my life, me and my brothers. We saw that same type of thing. And it
Yeah.
made it hard for other people, and particularly from other races, to understand that. To understand why that brother's so aggressive like that. Well, you know how it is. Sometimes you got to speak lightly around some people, because first thing they think they understand is to go on the defense. Is to go. You can. Here's the part that we have a problem with, though, is that most of the times that sometimes simple conversation can turn into a misunderstanding, right? Brother, I didn't, and you have to come, brother, I didn't mean it that way. This is how I meant. But the person automatically jumped defensively and felt disrespected. Why is that the first feeling, though? I understand what you're saying about not being respected and how that really affects a man or woman in urban society. The first
Hmm.
why is that the first thing we look for? Disrespect. Because I'm always kind of like, okay, brother, we can have this conversation, but as soon as I feel I hear disrespect, my mind automatically switches. Whether I say something directly to it at that time, or I'm taking in that data about that person and say, okay, this is kind of disrespectful person. So the next conversation we have, I'm watching their language.
Mm-hmm.
I have to correct it. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You feel that way as a black man. Now, I'm going to ask you about you.
Mm-hmm.
Feel that way? Because I do feel that way, man, because I've been disrespected, not only by my own kind, but I'm talking about by society in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't say something. At the
Mm-hmm.
time, I didn't say it. When I took it, I just took it and took it until I got to the point in my life where I refused to take it any longer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, can you give me a kind of like a rundown about your personal life concerning that situation?
Hmm. Um. Um. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna be honest. I think I got to go a little bit far back, because it's been a while since I was face to face disrespected.
Yeah.
So
Well, I
so
haven't either. I know what you mean by that.
so I'm gonna take it back
Going
now.
back younger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, I've always been a heavy set person. Right.
Right.
I always been a heavy set person. I was a fat kid. I'm
Right.
still heavy now. Right. And
Right.
when I was young, you know, people would you say, all right, you're Fat City. What's up, Fat City? You know what I mean? And at the time, I used to didn't like it. Why couldn't I just be City? And I took it like, why don't you just call me City? But that was um at that time, it seemed like a disrespect, or a violation of who I was. And
Right.
I know that seems super minor, because I know that seems super minor, but it was a thing that bothered me when I was young. But over time, not only with that subject, but with any other type of subject, I started to realize that another person's perception of who I am doesn't make me who I am.
Right.
You know, I mean, even if it's factual, like I'm saying, I was a fat boy, so it was even factual. But it's like I have the power to take what another person's words mean to me. Now it took years for me to kind of get there, and it's still things today a person could say that just completely off the hook or out of pocket, and it will be directed, whether it be however it's handled.
Right. Right.
But I came to kind of realize that I'm the master of what my feelings are. Like the outside person's opinion, the outside person's words only have power if I give them power. Now, being disrespected financially, being disrespected professionally, now
Mhm.
them things need to be handled immediately. Like
Yes.
you don't let those go past.
Right.
But the personal disrespect is on the other guy. And I kind of got to the point that I blow personal disrespect away. Now, financially, that's a little different.
Right.
Financially,
Right.
you can't take my money. You
Right.
know,
Right.
so so,
Talk.
so yeah, so it may be war upon that. But
Right. Right.
but your opinion of me, uh, I mean, don't get me wrong, Zulu. I do feel good when it when a person says they have a positive opinion of me, because that's what I wish to be in this world. I wish to be, not that I wish to be respected, but I wish to be a person deserving of respect.
Yes.
If a person says that back to me, of course that feels good. But
Right.
it's going to be situations that people just ain't going to dig you. They just not going to
Yeah. You're not gonna be their
respect.
flavor. You're not gonna be their flavor.
Right. So that's okay.
Yeah. Right.
Gil Scott Heron, one of my favorite songs.
Mm.
Peace go with you, brother. It's a point where you just got to say mentally, peace go with you, brother. Because what you think doesn't, it doesn't determine what I
Right. Brother, yeah. And let me say this to
am.
interject with what you're saying, because I've seen you do this before.
Hmm.
And someone was coming from a whole different broken place. You just quenched the fire. I mean, by going a whole totally different direction and saying, "Well, brother, I understand what you're saying," and but this is just how I feel. Now, I always would look at you like, "Man, bro, hey, that was a little too far," But
Yeah.
while I have a lot of respect for you, brother, because once me and you talk, you are what I call a true intellectual, and not many people. That's not trying to stroke your ego or anything. No,
Mhm.
that's a very hard position to be in. You can have degrees. I have degrees, but I'm not a true intellectual like that. I'm more of a direct person. I see the situation, I speak on it, I say something about it. That's it.